Hello everyone, this is Operances, and today I have a special video because I am interviewing famous, well not so famous yet, but still a great person, voice actor Monty. He has been part of Mr. Jorgensen Dendansky Tos's Vader comic dubs, as well as Star Wars Comics' videos. How are you doing today, Monty?
Doing very well, thank you for having me on.
Oh yes, you're very welcome. Now, Monty, I have 10 questions for you here today about your voice acting abilities and other stuff as well that we'd all love to know. Are you willing to answer them?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 1. Do you feel proud of being a voice actor and being able to help all of these amazing creators out there with your fantastic skills?
Yeah, it's good to be able to use what talents we have, and especially to help other people when they need it, and also for them to trust in your ability to, be able to help them out, I guess.
Yes, that's certainly very important.
The fact that they actually, want you to be in their project is probably the best part of it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's very good for someone to invite you to the project. It's amazing. Now, I'm gonna go on to question 2, which is if your voice has been altered on a computer for a certain role, perhaps a lower pitch or a higher pitch or a monstrous tone, do you think that improves the performance or can sometimes take key elements away from it? How does it work?
It doesn't happen a lot. Probably the only voice that I do that ever gets changed really is the Vader voice. But really most of them don't. But I mean, it depends, because a lot of the time it's down to the person whose project it is. It's what they kind of want, as opposed to what you think they want, because often what you think they want isn't what they want most of the time.
Well, yes, that's certainly something that is very important. Now, when it comes to question 3, I want to ask you. I watched a video on the Star Wars Comics channel about Jar Jar Binks, and I know you really are a fan of that one. I want to ask you, when you voiced the character of Mas Amedda, the blue alien chairman there, and when you voiced this particular character, Mas Amedda, for Star Wars Comics, how did you prepare for this role? Did you listen to some of Amedda's dialogue from Attack of the Clones, or did you get a basic sense of what the character is like, or what was it like?
Well, often with the videos I do on Star Wars, the comics channel, I normally do all of the voices, or as many of them as I can, due to issues of reliability and various other things. With that character, I watched his original performance in the movie.
In which one? Did you watch Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith or The Phantom Menace?
No, well, both of them. Especially because he's not in it a lot, and he doesn't really say very much.
Yeah.
But, the scene where he's calling order, and
yes,
when he's speaking to the Emperor or the to-be Emperor, and just tried to get as close as possible, but I mean, I don't know how well I succeeded there. It's not a particularly hard voice. I mean, you can use any voice really if you wanted to, I guess. But
yeah, you could. But I
trying
think
to get into at least the same sort of accent, I guess, is the primary thing.
Yeah, it's very important to get into the correct accent. Now, when it comes to question 4, I want to ask you, was there ever a time, and I don't know, was there ever a time in your life when you were unsatisfied with your own delivery and thought that you could have done much better? If there was, what exactly made you think that?
Pretty much all the time. I'm never satisfied with the performances. I think I am. I think the problem you have is you should be careful never to fall into the trap of thinking that, yes, you've just done it, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because, like, with the with Darth Vader, so I never, when I first started doing voice work or amateur voice acting, whatever you want to call it, I never really thought I would do that voice because it requires a lot of special effects and
Yes.
you have to change stuff. So the voices I tend to do normally are voices that don't require any other effect than my own ability to change my voice. So I often find with the Vader voice, and I think you pointed this out in the video that you did the other day, is that a lot of the time people change the way that they add the effects.
Yeah.
So I will do, if I'm doing the voice of Vader, for instance, it would be perhaps more like, I can't even learn now. If you tell me where the rebels are, I will go, and something like that. And it's quite. I try to copy James Earl Jones's voice more than I do Vader's.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people make the mistake. They listen to Darth Vader and they go, "Oh yes, he talks this way," so they get apart and they're like, "You will come with me, or you will be destroyed." And I think if you just try to do James Earl Jones's voice, and then you let the person doing the fiddling about with the sound effects, and then hopefully they'll be able to get it as close as they can.
Yeah.
But I think on the whole, the Vader voice is the one I least like doing, even though it seems to be the one I do more than anything else.
Oh.
But just because that's not something I ever really originally intended to do, I actually prefer to do the voice of the Emperor.
Yeah, the Emperor is a lot of fun to do.
It's a lot easier for me to do that voice.
Yeah, because Vader, it requires a lot of, I don't even know how to say it. I guess deepness or maybe something like that.
There's an element of deepness because James Earl Jones has got a very deep voice, and the problem with his voice as well over the years, because he's getting on a bit now, is his voice has changed quite a lot. So
well, if you compare Rogue One and A New Hope, there's of course a huge difference.
Yes, because he wasn't very old in the original film. I think he was in his mid to late 20s. So he's the voice and the character, and I guess the technology they used has changed quite a lot over the years. So it still sounds like Darth Vader, but it's kind of not Darth Vader. But yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask you now question number 5. What franchise of movies or books are you most a fan of, and why?
Fan of? Well, I guess in terms of the voice acting, it has to be the Star Wars.
Yeah.
The original trilogy, as opposed to any of the others. The others have grown on me, but I prefer the originals. And just growing up with those, really, I wasn't really a big fan of reading comics and stuff like that. So I've got a few books and stories and stuff like that on Star Wars, but that's pretty much really just Star Wars. Really. I like Marvel and stuff like that, but I'm not heavily into Marvel. I like watching the movies and things. General sci-fi, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then anything I can imitate.
But Star Wars is the one that is most that you're most passionate about when it comes to voice acting and franchises and so on. I see. And
for characters, for character acting, yes.
Okay.
I try to do other things as well. I do a bit of narration work sometimes.
You like doing narration work?
I try to do more of it because it's something I enjoy, and it doesn't require me to
try to imitate the voice.
Noises or or screaming sounds or creatures or old ghosts and things like that. So
yes.
Yeah.
And this next one might be a very hard question, but who is your favorite actor and why?
Well,
you can name several if you want, if it's easier for you that way.
A couple. I like Patrick Stewart.
Oh,
I think he's a very good actor.
Of course.
And I grew up watching The Next Generation, stuff like that, and I think he's a very good actor, and he's quite passionate about what he does.
I see.
very well read, and maybe Ian McKellen as well.
Ian McKellen is great. Yes.
I like because they know each other. I think they've worked together as well on stage, but certainly I like those two, especially him, Gandalf.
Yes, and your favorite role for Ian McKellen is obviously this new Cats movies.
The new Cat movie, yeah, they didn't do very well, did it? So it's probably the way that they look. They look a bit kind of crazy, weird creatures.
I know.
Cat people.
And what I want to really ask you is, what things do you try to avoid the most while voice acting? Like, are there any bad traits that you think come from when you voice act, like with the throat or something like that you want to avoid? Particular sounds, particular noises that you try to go away from?
I think deep, visceral, sort of down in your throat kind of sounds. I don't know if you ever played or know of the Halo games.
No, I don't play much games, but it's okay. Maybe someone in the audience did.
Yeah, so in Halo, you have the humans versus the creatures called the Covenant, and there's a group of aliens called Elites, and Sankili, and they speak like this, and do all this sort of stuff. That I find that really does my throat in after about 5 minutes. Some voices I can do all day.
Like for example?
I can talk Obi-Wan Kenobi. I can talk like Obi-Wan Kenobi or Alec Guinness.
Oh my god, that was an incredible impression, sir.
Hello, how you doing? My little friend. Come over here, don't be afraid. I can do that all day. And the Emperor as well. I can do that. I think the biggest problem you have when you're doing the voices, I guess, is thinking that everything you do is great.
Yeah.
And I think, and trying not to
criticize yourself. Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah, be critical of yourself, because if you think all the time, "Well, that was amazing,"
yeah,
you'll very quickly learn that other people will think otherwise. Everybody's a critic, and for every comment you get that says, "That's a great voice," you'll get 5 that say, "Oh my God, why do you sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?" Or,
Yeah.
Best thing to do is ignore those don't read the comments, basically, for those. But I think you just have to be critical of yourself, and also, I guess this is probably kind of dependent on where you are in life, is be careful what characters you choose to play, because some characters they're very dependent on how old you are.
Yeah.
And where your voice is. So if you want to be Gandalf, you talk like this, Gandalf the Grey. But if you're 12, that might not sound exactly okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I fully understand that. That's a problem I have encountered many times.
Yeah, and people grow into your voice will change throughout your life. So as you can see with actors and programs, James L. Jones's voice has changed. But I think just try to do what you're good at, and take criticism, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Constructively.
Yes.
Don't be offended if someone tells you.
Of course.
That wasn't right.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their own. You can say to me, "Okay, I want to do a project, and I want you to do the voice of, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a very good example. So okay, I'll do that."
Yeah.
And you might not want that version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's for me to sort of say, okay, I had my opinion of how he should sound, but you obviously have your opinion.
Yeah.
It's finding the balance, I think.
Yeah.
It's the best thing.
And what I have to say as well, my next question is, before voice acting, do you do any kind of exercises? Like maybe you do something with your mouth, or do some exercises before voice acting to get your throat warmed up and ready for the recording? Or do you just start straight away? How do you usually do? Do you like do that stuff, or do you just start?
with the most of them, I don't need to do any kind of exercise or warm up. You have to be very careful though. Some of them you kind of need to. The alien voice I was doing before for the Halo game, I can only do that for about 5 minutes before I can't speak anymore. So with that one, I drink milk. Andy Serkis, and when he does the voice of Gollum, I think they have a drink called Gollum juice, which he drinks, so enabling him to be able to. I can't do that voice, but that voice must be really, really.
Is that the one with ginger in it, or something?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, I heard about that.
The actor, I can't remember his name, that does the Optimus Prime.
Peter Cullen?
Yeah, he talks about that as well, though, about having, actually spitting up blood sometimes when he's done.
Oh, yeah, I watched him saying that in some interview.
Yeah, so you got to be careful, but a lot of them, depending on what you're doing, as long as you don't go mad, you should be okay. I mean, sometimes it benefits from just going into it straight away. I find often that if I'm doing the voice of the Emperor, I try to do that voice just after I've got up, so in the morning, or so it sounds a bit more raspy.
Yeah.
Sort of give yourself to the dark side, and it sounds a bit better than that because it's. But again, it depends on what the person wants. There's so many different versions of the Emperor.
Yeah.
From the cartoon and the animated series and the movies, that it's again what my opinion of how the Emperor sounds is probably not what some other people would say.
Yeah. Totally. We all have different opinions on what voice actors can sound. Now, what I want to ask next, and I've only got 2 questions left here until we finish the interview. So my next question for you is, if you were suddenly called to go into some big budget production, what would you feel like?
Well, I've often thought that one day, because obviously I auditioned originally for the character of the Emperor for Star Wars Comics channel.
Yeah.
Or Bessie, as it was then, or Bessie, as he is known as. And that I did with the eye that, well, if you, I've worked for other people like Patrick, and I've done some stuff for you. You think that maybe one person out there will watch that video that might be, someone of influence or importance.
Yeah.
Maybe they work for Disney. Who knows? They'll hear the voice. They'll hear the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I think, oh my God, it's Alec Guinness. We really need someone to do that voice. I think if that ever happened, I probably would be quite nervous.
Yeah, of course.
Because I do this. It's like a little, because I have a full-time job anyway. This is like a little bit on the side. It's sort of, I do it as a hobby.
Yeah.
So I would love the opportunity, and if anyone's listening to this, that anyone would like to employ me, please contact me through the appropriate channels.
How about you tell them to do it?
To do it. Give me an opportunity. Well, give me a job. My name's Alec Guinness, and I work for free. So definitely, I think I would be very nervous, and I would worry that I wouldn't be able to do it, but I would certainly give it a go.
Okay, and I've got one last question for you before we round this up. The last question is, you recently did some recording for me, and that was Chancellor Palpatine. It was more like before his transformation rather than the Emperor, the Emperor side of him.
Yes.
What do you think, how did you make the key difference? What did you view as like the key difference between the voices? Because obviously they're similar in many ways, but there must be some kind of difference between them. Can you tell us about it?
Actually, I personally don't think there's any difference.
Oh, you don't?
And the reason I say that is because my example of that voice, the Emperor's voice, is very much taken from Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And in Return of the Jedi, unlike the prequel films, the Emperor isn't insane, if I would put it.
Yes.
In the prequels, there's a push, I think, because you have the two characters. You've got the secret guy in the cloak,
yeah,
you know, who's in the background, and then you've got the Chancellor or you've got the Senator.
Yeah.
And I think they purposely made them different.
Yeah.
They tried to get him to sound a lot differently. So when he became the Emperor, he was almost crazy.
Yeah.
Unlimited power, you know, screaming and screaming and being evil, like
yes.
overly evil.
Mm-hmm.
If you compare that to the Emperor in Return of the Jedi, it's totally different. He's quiet. He talks normally. He's humorous. He likes winding people. You can see it in the character.
Yeah.
Whereas in the prequel films, Revenge of the Sith, you know, it's like it's just a bit over the top. So when I do the voice, I tried to copy the one in Return of the Jedi because
yeah,
you know, he's just sitting there, young fool. Now you will witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station. He's not screaming and he's not, you know, and doing that weird thing with his voice. So it's a lot easier for me to then, if you say, oh, be the Chancellor, then that's not as hard because it's just the same voice. It's just, you know, toned down a little bit.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay.
I love liberty. I love freedom. You know, it's
yeah.
Well, I can't remember the lines, but it's the same voice. It's just he's not in that film when he gets mutated or transformed. He has the weird kind of like I don't know what it is, sort of echoey rasp to his voice.
Well, there was one scene where I felt it was a bit over top, where he straight away transforms and he has this sort of effect to it, like.
When he tells Darth Vader, you know, you should be known as Darth Vader, it's got this weird kind of resonation to it.
It felt computer-like for some reason.
Yeah, but each to their own, and then, you know, for as many people as like that version will say, well, I prefer the voice from the cartoon, you know, so can't really win, so just try to make people happy, give them what they want.
Yes. Now, this was a very nice interview, so thank you very much for being here, Monty. It was an incredible honor for me to have my first interview with such a person as you.
Oh, thank you very much.
And to round this off, how about you tell us a short snippet of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Oh dear. You should have told me this before I had got the lines up. Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? No, Master.
Okay, this was a very nice interview. Guys, this was Monty. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Make sure to check out his performances in Mr. Jorgensen Dendazkitos's Vader comic dub and Star Wars comics, as well as a future video of mine which is coming out whenever I can publish it. And please subscribe to my channel as well. And thank you very much. See you all.